Now that's more like it.
Those are up, and they did.
We're smart, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review, and this movie review is going to be for the final installment of a rewatch review series that I'm currently reviewing for now, up until the next one comes out soon in March, in about a few weeks. And it's for a film that released in 2019, just 4 months after the last one in this whole universe. And that film is going to be for none other than 2019's the first comedic film of DC, Shazam, directed by David Strandberg. Or David F. Strandberg. David something. What's the plot of this? Well, in Philadelphia, Billy Batson is an abandoned child who is proving a nuisance to child services and the authorities with a stubborn search for his lost mother. However, in his latest foster home, Billy makes a new friend, Freddy, and finds himself selected to the Wizard Shazam to be his new champion. Now endowed with the ability to instantly become an adult superhero by speaking the wizard's name, Billy gleefully explores his new powers with Freddy. However, Billy soon learns that he has a deadly enemy, Dr. Thaddeus Savannah, who was previously rejected by the wizard and has accepted the power of the 7 deadly sins. Instead, now pursued by this mad scientist for his own power as well, Billy must face up to the responsibilities of his calling while learning the power of a special magic with his true family that Savannah can never understand. How was this film made? Well, New Line Cinema began development of a Shazam live-action feature film in the early 2000s with multiple screenplay drafts by William Goldman, the team of Alex Sokolov and Joel Cohen, Brian Goldbuff, and John August. The version of Shazam script written by August, which went into pre-production in 2008, was an action comedy which focused on the origin story of the hero, then known by his original name as Captain Marvel, and his young alter ego Billy Batson. Peter Siegel was attached as director, and Dwayne Johnson was in talks to appear as the film's villain at the time, Black Adam, who got his own standalone film last year. New Line Cinema was absorbed into Warner Brothers. A larger film studio was also owned at the time by Time Warner. During the course of development, following the success of Warner's Batman film The Dark Knight, the commercial favorite, the lighter, family-friendly Speed Racer, both during 2008, August departed from the project, citing pressure from the studio to make the screenplay darker and more serious. In August 2009, Bill Birch and Jeff Johns, a prominent DC Comics writer, were assigned to write the screenplay, while Siegel remained attached as director. In August 2010, the studio considered canceling the theatrical film in favor of a live-action series for primetime network television. December 2013, Siegel stated that the film would not be happening, as the similarities between Captain Marvel and Superman had become an obstacle after the successful launch of Man of Steel earlier that year. And while the film was in development in limbo, DC Comics rebooted the comic book franchise as part of the New 52 relaunch in 2012 due to the trademark conflicts with Marvel Comics, who owned the trademark for Captain Marvel for use with their own character of the same name. DC renamed their Captain Marvel superhero character Shazam at this time when the New 52 started. DC has been required to market and promote the character using the trademark Shazam since acquiring the publishing rights from Fawcett Comics in 1972. And Captain Marvel had originated at Fawcett in 1939, but fell into limbo after 1953 following a long legal battle with DC over Captain Marvel's similarities to Superman. Then in April 2014, Warner Bros. Revealed their upcoming slate of films based on DC Comics properties, which were Shazam, Metal Men, Fables, and Warner Bullets. The Shazam film was tentatively set for release in July 2016, and Dwayne Johnson stated he would still be starring Shazam that August, but was undecided because portraying Shazam or Black Adam. And in September, Johnson was cast as Black Adam, while Darren Lemke was set to write the script. In January 2017, Harry Gayden was hired to rewrite Lem's script, and in February 2017, David S. Steinberg was in talk with the studio to direct Shazam, while Dwayne Johnson was set to star in a Black Adam solo film, as opposed to appearing as a villain in Shazam, while Dr. Savannah, another nemesis of Shazam, became the Shazam film's main villain. Steinberg was also approached to direct Venom for Sony Pictures, but Steinberg finally decided to direct Shazam rather than Venom due to former crews consisting of several people Steinberg worked with at New Line Cinema. So yeah, after the film was shot and marketed to death, Shazam would go on to be released in the United States in 3D IMAX on April 5th, 2019. The film was a box office success, grossing $366 million worldwide, and received critical acclaim from critics because they praised Sandberg's direction and the performances of Levi, Angel, and Grazer, as well as its generally light tone and sense of fun. It would be followed by a spin-off Black Adam last year, and will soon be followed by the sequel, Shazam Fury of the Gods, releasing soon. Now, when it comes down to my reaction, I think I have to say this is my third favorite DCEU film behind Zack Snyder's Justice League and Batman vs. Superman The Ultimate Edition. I feel like the self-aware tone is kind of what fans needed after some critical flops that DCEU have had before this. Now, however, when it came to the marketing, I'm gonna admit, I do remember seeing the trailers for this movie on loop in nearly every single fucking movie I saw in the theater around 2018 to 2019, and it was really starting to destroy my interest in the film because I was just so sick and tired of having to see this trailer shoved in my face at every single movie I went to see during the 2018 to 2019 period. Like every single movie, I'd have to sit through this trailer. Every movie. I'm not kidding. Like, just stop already. Oh my god. You're just making me not want to see the movie even more. However, I was proven wrong, and I was actually glad to give this movie a chance because it was very heartfelt and funny, and even very self-aware at the right times too. Like, I don't know why Marvel can't do their comedy like this movie does it. Why? Let's just start with saying that the acting is fantastic in this. Zachary Levi is incredible and very believable as a 14-year-old in an adult body. He's funny, energetic, charismatic, and seems like he was totally born to play this part. I'd even compare him to Christopher Reeve's Superman, and even aside from Levi, the acting is great. I was a little worried about the child actors since they don't always work, but here they were really great. And I was also a little worried about the character of Billy originally, because in the trailers he seemed to be this very angsty kid, and then in Shazam it felt like a very different person, but in the film it totally works. He is an angsty kid in the beginning, but he goes through a very interesting character arc that makes both characters feel real and believable. And we also get to probably my favorite part of the film, the heart and great story about family. Billy Batson is this foster kid who just kind of wants to be left alone, but he's forced to adjust to a foster family. It's incredibly common for films to have a very negative portrayal of foster life, and this film refreshingly has a very positive take on it. The foster parents portrayed in this film are not abusive or negligent, but they generally want what's best for the kids. And the entire part of the film was brilliantly done and filled with so much heart, and I loved it. One specific scene stands out to me at the end of the second act that I don't really want to get into here, for those who have still not seen the movie, but I thought it was brilliant. And once again, I swear, Zachary Levi was born to play Shazam. He carries childlike enthusiasm and a heart and effortlessly, he uses charisma and I won't be able to say it enough, so here it is, like, he's just perfection in this role. The rest, Kid Billy was somewhat toned down, but still played quite nicely. Mark Strong plays a menacing villain in Dr. Savannah, and the child actors, especially Dylan Grazer, was very good. I mean, were very good. This was around the time when child actors were really improving. Like, any other supporting performance was played nicely. Never knew who the real star of this movie was. There's even just so many funny moments in this movie, and none of them, and unlike a lot of Marvel movies today, none of them felt forced. Every joke lands. Like, in the theater, my jaw was often hurting because I was just laughing so hard. This movie even really balances comedy, scare, stakes, and of course, family. No pun intended, Fast and Furious. Of course, Shazam is a family movie. Firstly, even with the background story for Savannah, there were lots of family ideals involved. And you'll fall in love with every character. Even siblings are all very relatable and grounded. And Sandberg, who was initially viewed as a question mark choice to direct a superhero movie involving a kid, did an amazing job. He kept the tone well balanced and used some of his horror movie background here, because this guy was known to have directed horror movies before this. The film does something great in its tone as well, and it's able to bounce from comedy that pretty much had my whole audience in the theater laughing, and then going to points that made me generally feel for the characters. Films sometimes will try that and fail to make this tonal difference work, but this film manages to pull it off nicely. And once again, the film's cast is very perfect in this film, with not one character feeling out of place. What's even better, though, is that all the characters' motivations feel right. Also, something else that is good is that we have a developed film for quite the first time in this era of theatrically released DC films, with the film starting on their character and not the hero, which was a welcome change. As the one element of most superhero movies that lets them down as a weak antagonist, both Marvel and DC do suffer from this occasionally. The film also did something else unexpectedly, but centers around who Billy Batson's family is. Is it his biological family, or is it his foster family? Which kind of leaves me wondering, why is this the first superhero film to tackle this? And it was where, to me, the film was at its strongest. The narrative is strong here and operates on so many different levels, with all the main characters getting fully developed arcs, especially the antagonist and the protagonist. The story is heartfelt, numerous darker times, with some brilliant acting by the cast. The young girl that plays Darla is simply adorable, but so are the rest of the other kid actors here. The last act is even a wonderful payoff to one of the better superhero movies, and the film really does feel like it belongs in the Amblin era, or it could easily have been made by Steven Spielberg. I didn't expect to like this movie at all, yet I'll love it at all, and ended up being one of my favorite films of 2019. And yes, we all know, it is a superhero origin story, and it comes with all the trappings therein. The scenes like from the past with future consequences, a hero struggling to find his way, a moral dilemma, etc. But the beauty of Shazam is that it knows what it is and plays to its strengths brilliantly. Shazam is ultimately the introduction of a mostly known hero to the world who is, for the comics educated, insanely powerful, and is effectively the only hero in the DCEU who could go toe-to-toe with Superman. But who cares? Because the movie is really about Billy Batson and what he brings to the table. And we all know this synopsis. Maybe this synopsis seems generic, like a teenage foster child was magically chosen by an ancient wizard when it was given the power to transform an adult superhero known as Shazam. And every time he shouts his name. Now, and with the help of this foster brother he has to learn to control his new powers while protecting the world from an evil's villain. Yeah. This synopsis, hearing it alone, it sounds conceptually generic with some cliches you've seen before in most superhero movies, but in terms of execution, the story works pretty well. Imagining the concept of Tom Hanks' classic Big, combined with the campy nature of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, it sounds crazy, but once you see it, it works. The movie also has good use of foreshadowing when it comes to the story and characters. And horror film director David S. Sandberg really surprised me how much fun and humor you can make into a superhero flick. Like throughout the movie, you'd be familiar and hear familiar and refreshing jokes that would make you laugh non-stop. And you'll come across references from previous Sandberg and DC movies. The action scenes are also energetic and blends well with the comedic tone. Here, and now when it comes to Mark Strong as the villain, the villain would probably be debatable among others, and he does play a typical power-hungry villain who seeks Shazam's powers for reasons I wouldn't want to give away, but once you do see why, you do feel sympathy for his character, and you can definitely tell because, well, when you start off the movie, you see that he comes from a crap family, basically, a crap brother and dad that treated him like garbage the whole entire film, and they blamed him for the car accident that they pretty much caused to themselves by basically stopping in the middle of the road to yell at him, when they should have just tried to keep driving and just waited until they were on a safer side for the whole thing. And what's even more, and what pretty much made Savannah's dad a hypocrite, he's like, you can't go crying to other people all the time. And once Savannah's up finally getting his revenge on both of them, that's the first thing his dad does once all of the executives and his own golden child are dead. And he gets called down on that hypocrisy when Savannah pretty much throws his awards back at him. So yeah, it was definitely satisfying to see Savannah get his revenge on his dad and brother with the 7 deadly sins, and letting greed finish off his dad. Very, very satisfying to see. And I also love the chemistry between Billy and Freddy in this movie. You can even believe the friendship they start to form between them during Billy's time as Shazam here. And stuff. And the action sequences are also very great. The final battle specifically even. And Even the effects feel very well done too. And however, but yeah, unfortunately, there's going to be some bad qualities involved with this movie, because if I did have any bad qualities, the bad qualities would be, like, first off, I personally did kind of think Billy kind of starts off as a bit rude and unlikable in the first bit of the film. I did, yeah, I didn't really like Billy in the first half, to be fair. At first, he was kind of annoying me. I'm gonna admit that. And when he has his Shazam powers, he's kind of just using them throughout the film to just kind of be narcissistic, be a show-off, and gain fame, and not really care about the consequences of his decisions, and even pretty much disregards the moment where he endangers a bunch of people on a bus, and even abandoned Freddy at school to be cruelly humiliated by them, when he ended up revealing, when he just basically tried to get Billy to show how much of a superhero so that, like, the whole students could finally notice him. I kind of felt Billy did kind of act like a bit of a dick in that moment. But he does get better as the film progresses, and he at least does get a sympathetic reason for his behavior, because throughout the movie, you see he's trying to reunite with his real mom, and then once he finds out she actually meant to abandon him at that fair because she didn't feel like mother material, and Billy then realizes his foster family was his real family, and he finally allows his siblings to be his sidekicks in the end, during the final battle, and accepts them, so he does have a perfect story arc right there. And also, with the final battle is good, but I feel like the final battle kind of goes on a little bit too long. Maybe we could have shortened some stuff out of the final battle, really. We didn't need to have it be that long, really. I mean, it did kind of drag the film down a little bit. And then when it gets to the post-credit scene that teases the caterpillar, I feel like the post-credit scene with the caterpillar and Savannah in the prison cell is kind of pointless. We didn't really need it because Marstrom's not even coming back in this sequel, and we're not even going to see Dr. Savannah again, all big thanks to James Gunn. Rebooting DC, so we're not even going to barely see Savannah again. We're not even going to see that cliffhanger basically get explained. So I feel like we really didn't need a post-credit scene teasing that, and you really could have teased the villains of Fury of the Gods instead. They could have just teased Fury of the Gods, not some caterpillar we're never going to see in a movie. However, despite those bad qualities, Shazam is still a great DCEU film. And we did kind of need, after Joss Whedon and Aquaman didn't catch my attention and were not great or good. So this was a nice breath of fresh air. So, in the end, Shazam is totally worth buying if you are looking for a perfectly done comedic DC film and want to see comedy and superhero films done the perfectly balanced right way. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Shazam, here's how I'm definitely going to rank this movie. So overall, if you want to see comedy and superhero films be used the right way, then I would highly recommend watching this movie and then buying it and adding it to your collection for sure. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Shazam, I'm going to give Shazam a 9 out of 10. There we go. That wraps up my review for Shazam. And with that, guys, that pretty much wraps up my review for the whole DCEU until Shazam Fury of the Gods comes out. So, there we go. The DCEU series is all done, and now we could go back to doing the Marvel stuff. Or doing the MCU reviews, because now that March is on us, so it's time to get back to the MCU reviews, starting off with Phase 2's Stinker. Yeah, that's going to be fun. But until then, guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe to Don G. Corleone.